Hope as the FDA approved Pfizer and Moderna's vaccines for emergency use in the United States. But now some new concerns. Some people don't trust the vaccine and others having problems getting it due to shortages and appointment scheduling.
So today, to help you, we are teaming up with the Triad's largest hospital systems to bring you the information you need to know as the vaccine rollout continues, and we try to return to some sort of normal. Our experts today are Dr. Deanne Brooks, Chief Pharmacy Officer for Cone Health, Dr. Christopher Uhl, infectious disease expert with Wake Forest Baptist Health, and Dr. Ashley Parrott, physician executive with Novant Health. We'll start our conversation in just a few minutes.
But before we get to our guests, we begin with an update on our state's vaccine status. As of yesterday, the state says providers have distributed more than 914,000 doses of the vaccine, and that includes first and second doses and those given by the CDC's long-term care program.
Let's take a closer look at that, at the number already given in the Triad. Data from the State Health Department shows our largest counties are in a dark green color, which is good. It means that we've all given more than 15,000 doses. The state says Forsyth County has given the most in our area, more than 35,000 first and second doses. They're followed by Guilford, then Alamance. The only counties that have given more vaccines than Forsyth in our whole state, Wake and Mecklenburg.
One of the top questions that we are getting into our newsroom, how do I make an appointment? Which leads to other questions, right? Is it through the county? Do I go through the hospital? Is it by phone? Is it online? And Tanya, answer to all those is yes.
Yes, yes, and yes. That's right. It's a little bit tricky right now because each county and each hospital system has its very own process. But there is one thing that you do need to know. You do not have to get the vaccine in the county where you live. So really, you can get it anywhere it's available. But I want you to take a look at what's going on right here. Okay, what we've done is we've put together flow charts on how to schedule for each of the three systems, how to make an appointment. Joining us today with those three systems, Cone, Novant, and Wake Forest Baptist, we're going to spotlight each one of these flow charts, make it make sense for you in the next 45 minutes. And we'll have this information online for you as well, as we're going to take you step by step on how you sign up for a vaccine through all three hospital systems. Again, we'll have details on each hospital's process coming up, so we'll make it clear. All right, right now, let's dig deeper into who's getting the vaccine. I want you to take a look at this graphic from DHHS. The two colors are for the first or second dose. When looking at who has received the vaccine by race, as of last week, you can see that the majority of people who have been vaccinated are white. So why is that? Well, in part, history may be to blame. There's a lot of distrust of government-run drug or vaccine trials in communities of color. But I spoke with Shirley Fry about the need for the vaccine among all people. And if her name sounds familiar to you, it should.
We decided this was something that we should do, and at our age, we wanted to live a little longer, and decided that we just go on and take it.
Shirley Fry and her husband got their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine at the Greensboro Coliseum.
My husband's arm got a bit sore, but mine didn't. It was just another vaccine that I took.
But Shirley knows it's not just another vaccine to a lot of folks.
There are people who don't believe in going to the doctor, period. And when you add the Tuskegee Project to it, it makes them more apprehensive.
The Tuskegee Project began in 1932 and lasted for 40 years. It was a government experiment, purposefully, that did not give adequate drug treatment to 600 black men infected with syphilis. This led to their deaths. None of those men were given the option to take the drug that could have saved them.
What you must remember is that my husband is a biology and chemistry, that's his background. And he has analyzed all of it.
Her husband, you know him as former North Carolina Chief Justice Henry Fry, the first African-American Chief Justice of the state court, and their granddaughter, who is a doctor. They all know the history, but they believe that this vaccine is the hope for the future.
The more of us as African-Americans who take it and then share that information with others, then I think we'd be more comfortable with that. Well, as I do most things when I'm trying to convince someone to do something, I would say, I did it and I'm still alive.
Shirley says getting the vaccine didn't make her anxious. Instead, it made her more confident, knowing it was helping her to combat COVID.
I just believe in what I do and I care about people. And I want other people to be just as happy as I am.
And that's happy and healthy. So let's bring in our guests to talk about joining together to educate about this vaccine. I'm joined today by Dr. Deanne Brooks, Chief Pharmacy Officer for Cone Health, Dr. Christopher Ohl, infectious disease expert with Wake Forest Baptist Health, and Dr. Ashley Parrott, physician executive with Novant Health. So thank you very much, all of you, for joining us, taking your time and expertise. The next few minutes, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the need for the vaccine. So we just heard from Shirley Fry, Dr. Ohl. She told me having access to folks to answer questions really made the decision easier. So do you see that as a barrier for all demographics of people? Dr. Ohl, can you hear me?
Yeah, one more time, sorry. My audio just...
No worries. Shirley Fry
Yeah.
was talking about how when people don't have the ability to ask questions and get answers about vaccines and things of that nature, that very often can be a barrier.
Sure, yeah, especially if it's not in your language, which is one of the things that we're really trying to work hard to get some of our more marginalized populations and people of color and ethnicity so that they can get the information they need in order to make great decisions for themselves and for the community. So you can always communicate, but you can never communicate too much. And so COVID's been confusing for a long time. I think a lot of people are confused about the vaccine rollout and distribution, and so we just have to keep at it and letting people know that the vaccines are safe and effective, and as time goes on, there'll be more vaccines out there for you to get an appointment.
Which is why we are all joining together to make sure that you are getting your questions answered. So here's another one, Dr. Brooks. We've heard about hesitation and distrust, especially in communities of color. What would you say to those who say this was rushed or they just don't trust it?
Yeah, so people would think that the vaccine was rushed because it did come into development in record time, but none of the steps were skipped in the development of this vaccine. What occurred was there was a lot of money put behind it by the federal government to be able to really put the study into these vaccines that have been developed. And so none of the phases were skipped. Some of the phases were collapsed so that as phase 1 and 2 and 3 were continuing, we were able to move quickly, as well as vaccine actually was manufactured before it was given emergency use authorization, which all contributed to being able to receive these vaccines and have approval sooner.
And hearing that step-by-step process certainly alleviates some fears for sure. Dr. Parrott, let's talk about your health system's plan for getting the vaccine into historically marginalized communities, because it's a different way to attack the problem.
Yeah, so we're not waiting for those patients to come and access us. We're trying to get out into their community to vaccinate them. Last weekend, we had a series of pop-up events at local churches, schools, and other clinics where we were able to partner with our community resources who reached out to patients who would otherwise not have access to the vaccine. We were able to give vaccine to a whole lot of people as quickly as we possibly could. We really want to get enough vaccine to as many people as possible, but not at the expense of equitable sharing in all populations.
Dr. Brooks, let me go back to talking about how the vaccine was done. What about the trials? What did they teach us about the vaccine that is important for all of us to know?
So they taught us that these vaccines are very effective, and after the second doses of each of these vaccines, they're 95% effective. The other thing that the trial showed us as well is that 1 in 5 of the study participants were people of color.
Okay, and one of the main questions we get, Dr. Ohl, I'm going to let you handle this one, is how will getting more people vaccinated help stop the spread of COVID-19?
Well, the more people that are immune to a virus that's circulating, the harder it is for that virus to continue to make its progress. So if you imagine yourself as a virus trying to go on a mud run, the thicker the mud is, the harder it is to get through it. And the deeper the mud is, the harder to get through it. So the mud thickness is how many people we can get vaccinated, and the depth of it is doing our social distancing and limiting bubble fusion events and wearing our masks. So you put the two together, and that's going to slow viral transmission. More people get vaccinated, slower it'll go. More people who do the 3 W's, well, slower it'll go.
And we've heard that over and over, those 3 W's. Okay, so we need to continue to do that. All right, let's talk about the vaccine. We want to make sure to mention that there is no cost for you to get the vaccine. And Dr. Parrott, that is super important.
Yeah, it's really important. We recognize that COVID has been a stress to so many families in so many different ways. Lots of people have lost jobs. Lots of people have lost their health insurance. And we would never want cost to be a reason that someone would forego the vaccine. So the vaccine is free to everyone, and hoping to get it into as many people as possible.
All right, so we're wrapping up our first segment here of the question and answer, but we're going to get back with you. They have more information to let you know about the process, give you a chance to ask your own questions. That is coming up as well. In the meantime, we told you before that we're going to take the time to go through each hospital system's vaccine appointment process. First up, we've got Cone Health. Now, I want you to pay close attention because this may be a little different than what you have heard before. Right now, the hospital does not have any vaccine appointments available. So if you're eligible, meaning 65 and older, the only way you can sign up is by going to the website, conehealth.com/vaccine, and sign up on the wait list. Now, the wait list is only for people who haven't registered for the vaccine via Cone Health or anyone else. If you had an appointment and you are being rescheduled, do not get on this wait list. Rescheduled people are being contacted before we look at the wait list people. But if you have not made an appointment before, sign up for the wait list. Okay, so we've got this flow chart here. Now Cone Health knows not everyone is internet savvy or has internet access. So if you're in that boat, what we want you to do is we want you to ask a family member, a friend, a caregiver to help you sign up online, because again, for Cone Health, that is the best option. If that's not an option, what you can do is you can call this number, which is 336-890-1188 to get help. But I really want you to hear me on this. This is not an appointment number for everyone. This is only for those people who really cannot get on the internet. So please leave it open for those who can't get on the internet. Now, once you're on the wait list, when appointments open up, what's going to happen is the hospital will contact you in the order that you're on the wait list to then schedule your vaccination. Right now, all Cone Health vaccine appointments are happening at the Greensboro Coliseum. There is no need to arrive early. In fact, they don't want you to arrive early. We want you to go at your scheduled time and get the shot. Now, they are working on opening different clinics besides the Greensboro Coliseum. They're looking for Alamance and Rockingham counties, but right now, that option is not available. All right, so to quickly recap, if you are eligible, 65 and older, or a frontline worker, go to conehealth.com/vaccine. You're going to get on those wait lists. When appointments become available, what's going to happen is you are going to be contacted in the order that you're on the wait list. When you're contacted, make your appointment, and on the scheduled day, simply head to the Greensboro Coliseum and get that vaccination. Again, we have all of this on our website so that you can look at it step by step. It's on WFMYnews2.com, and we also have spotlights on Wake Forest Baptist and Novant Health. That's coming up within the next 30 minutes. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. We are talking about the COVID-19 vaccine with experts from the Triad's 3 largest health systems. Dr. Christopher Ohl with Wake Forest Baptist Health, Dr. Ashley Parrott with Novant Health, and Dr. Deanne Brooks, Chief Pharmacy Officer with Cone Health. And so in about 20 minutes, we want to give you the opportunity to ask your questions to them. You can go ahead and start texting those questions to us. The number to text is 379-5775. This is a text only, so do not call with your question. Again, text only. We'll start taking your questions in about 20 minutes. But first, though, we want to talk about the vaccine process itself. So let's talk about that. The vaccine distribution process, Dr. Brooks, talk a little bit about how the doses get sent to you, and do you get all those requested doses from the state?
Yes, so we receive a message from the state weekly, and we are given our allocation for that next week. What has occurred that's changed most recently is that the state is giving us a 3-week baseline. So we know for the next 3 weeks, this is how much vaccine we will receive. And once we receive that allocation, we can choose to accept it, or we can choose to only send partial, or we can say, no, we don't need any right now. All of our citizens are vaccinated. And then the way the vaccine gets to us is it's either shipped directly from the manufacturer, or it's shipped from a wholesaler. Pfizer is shipped from the manufacturer, and Moderna is shipped from a wholesaler.
Okay, so it's kind of different how it all works there. So we want to make sure that everybody knows it's not just that simple process if it all just comes down the pike in one way. Dr. Ohl, let's talk about why the appointment process is so very different for every single health system. And just to make sure, yep, I see you there, unmuted there. Why is it so very different?
Well, I think there are a lot of reasons. One of it is that it comes down to the usual electronic medical records and appointment systems that health systems have and use. And so we try to integrate making appointments into that because it creates a more seamless workflow for the vaccine clinic, which is a lot of jargon, but it means you use what's already working for you. And so the county has something different, and each health system has something different. The problem that you know, and the frustration is that this is like a really big game of red light, green light. If you remember that kids game, where you're all of a sudden get green light, vaccinate, 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 and then someone says red light, no more vaccine, and then you got to stand down or cancel appointments and rework your workflow again. So I think it'll be a lot less frustrating for everybody, patients, citizens, and us health systems, when we get into a little bit more of a regular flow and get out of this red light, green light phenomenon. So, but it is what it is, and as people get used to finding, you know, the information they need to make an appointment, and a big hats off to WFMY for the tutorial on that. I think it'll help people get through it.
Right, and we are going to get the tutorial on Novant and also Wake Forest Baptist as well, and everything is online, so if you don't catch all of the information, that's okay. We've got it there for you. Hey, Dr. Brooks, let's talk about why do the appointments seem to open so sporadically? That is a question that we get from viewers all the time.
Yeah, so it is a little bit of what Dr. Ohl was sharing with the red light, green light game. And then the other thing that is occurring as well is our prioritization framework. So as different groups are opening up, the beginning groups were a smaller group. They were our healthcare workers. And then as we have opened up to those 65 and older, that has contributed to that sporadic nature. And again, going forward, I think being able to know at least for a 3-week period of time consistently how much vaccine we're going to get, we'll have more consistent appointments to be able to open up for our patients.
All right, and let's kind of now go on to, is there a secret? So Dr. Parrott, I'm going to give this one to you. Is there a best way to get an appointment? I mean, we've got viewers who are like, there's got to be a secret to calling on a certain day or signing up online or something.
So there's no special secret. I think we would all agree that the online process is preferable for patients. Getting onto MyChart is the easiest way to find a vaccine appointment, and getting on our wait list helps with that as well. We will send out messages, and you don't have to sit and wait on hold with someone on the phone if you use the MyChart access.
Okay, and so that is for your specific health facility. That's for Novant, the whole MyChart thing. Okay, now let's talk about the biggest appointment problem that you seem to be running into. Is it wrong age group of people trying to jump in line? Is it people not having information? What does it happen to be?
Our biggest problem is really the amount of vaccine that we have to give. We are happy to help patients to schedule appropriately into the right age groups, but as we have bigger and bigger allocations of vaccine, we'll be able to vaccinate more people.
All right, Dr. Ohl, are there any reasons other than being in the wrong group of people that someone would be turned away from an appointment?
That's the main one. Or if the health system you're working with doesn't have the vaccine, you might get turned away until the vaccine becomes available. But I think the whole prioritization is a little bit confusing for people, and it's changed a couple, 3 times since Christmas actually, and so right now we're still trying to get our over 65 people, the people who really suffer the most from COVID, and after this, we're going to be opening it up more for critical and frontline workers. And that's a large group of people. And so it's really going to expand the number of people who are eligible for vaccines. So when that happens, I think some of the difficulty in getting appointments might actually get worse for them.
Okay. So, one of the things to keep in mind is just like all of us, I mean, we've all had to transition from work from home. They're transitioning into doing this whole vaccine thing. Like, things change as things are learned and processes are refined. So things will continue to change, but hopefully for the better as we go along with this. Again, thank you so much for answering the questions. We're going to have more on the vaccine itself coming up. But right now, what we want to do is we want to take a look at that flow chart for Wake Forest Baptist Health's vaccine appointment process. Again, we said we were going to do this for each one. So this is Wake Forest Baptist scheduling appointments for people who are 65 and older, who are Wake Forest Baptist Health patients. Now, this is very important. You must be a patient of Wake Forest Baptist Health to schedule your vaccine through them. If you're a patient, you make your appointment by calling 336-70-COVID. And you see that on the screen. Again, that's 336-702-6843. Now, this is the only way that you can schedule an appointment with Wake Forest, and you must have an appointment to get vaccinated. On the day of your appointment, what they want you to do is head to your vaccination location. Now, that could be in a couple of different places, right? That could be in Winston-Salem, or that could be in High Point. That could be in Lexington or Davie County. As of right now, though, this is the only way that they are scheduling, which is by calling. That's it. Keep monitoring their website, though, and news outlets, of course, for when more appointments will open up. So to recap really quickly, Wake Forest Baptist Health patients will call this number here on the screen, again, only if you're a patient, to schedule an appointment. And then on that very day, you will show up on your appointed location and you'll get your shot. Again, we're going to have all of this on WFMYnews2.com so that you're able to go step by step. All right, don't forget, in about 10 minutes, you're going to have the opportunity to ask your questions. You can go ahead and start texting your question to us. The number is 336-379-5775. Again, this is text only, so do not call. We will be asking your questions in about 10 minutes. We'll be right back. We are back with experts from the Triad's largest health systems, Dr. Ashley Parrott with Novant Health, Dr. Christopher Ohl with Wake Forest Baptist, Dr. Deanne Brooks with Cone Health. Still with us talking about the COVID-19 vaccine. For the next bit, we're going to focus on the vaccine itself. Many people say that they think the vaccine was rushed. So Dr. Brooks, without getting too much into the weeds, can you give just a little insight into the role that previous vaccines have played?
Yes, and so the way this vaccine works, and it's been being studied for about 10 years, it's called messenger RNA technology, and it's really been studied for quite a while. It's different than other vaccines that usually have a little bit of the either dead or inactivated virus as part of it. And with this vaccine, it basically teaches your body to recognize the disease and then fight the disease with antibodies that your body has created.
All right, so the science is there. We have 2 vaccine options with a 3rd possible option on the way. So Dr. Ohl, how are the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines similar, and then how are they different?
Well, they're mostly similar. They're both messenger RNA vaccines. The constructs of messenger RNA are very, very close. They both are enclosed in a little bit of a fat globule, so it can enter into your body to make the spike proteins. And the efficacy is the same, 95%, and the adverse events, which are really expected, including pain and sometimes some fever and chills, are the same as well. So the only thing that's different about them is that the second dose for the Pfizer vaccines at 21 days, second dose for the Moderna vaccines at 28 days. And they have some different storage requirements as far as their temperature that they have to be kept at. But I think for the average person out there, you can consider them pretty much interchangeable. But one important thing, if you got, Moderna first, you'll want to get Moderna for your second shot. It's only if it's not available or there's no other option would you switch vaccines between the two.
All right, so that's an answer to a very common question. If you get the Pfizer, you take the Pfizer for the first and second dose, Moderna first and second dose. All right, Dr. Parrott, we've seen hospitals using extra cold freezers for the vaccine. So let's talk a little bit about why those are needed.
So the vaccines, the messenger RNA vaccines, are extremely fragile. So we have to keep them in the ultra low freezers to keep them safe until they're able to be given to patients. The good news is that these messenger RNA vaccines are very safe. They only last in your body for a little while, long enough to teach your body how to fight the virus, and then they're gone and they won't harm you.
And one of the biggest concerns that people have, is side effects. We touched on that just briefly. So, Dr. Brooks, what are the known side effects that we have with this?
Yes, fortunately, these are very well tolerated, and what recipients can usually see is they might get a headache or feel tired, and their arm might feel sore the next day. And sometimes it's a little bit more pronounced with the second dose than the first, but not always.
Mm-hmm. And then let's talk about some of the vulnerable groups, Dr. Ohl, like pregnant women, people with illnesses. How do they know that it's safe for them to get the vaccine?
Yeah, well, so immunocompromised patients, elderly patients, and patients with underlying illnesses and diseases were included in the clinical trial, and there was no bad safety signals in any of this. The side effects weren't any different. For pregnancy, pregnant women weren't in the trials, but this type of vaccine should be fine in pregnancy because it's not a live virus vaccine. It doesn't replicate in your body. It can't go across the placenta. And so it'll actually make antibodies in a pregnant woman, and those antibodies can cross the placenta into the baby and help protect the baby when they're born for a few months. So the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology says and advocates that pregnant women should get vaccinated because of their higher risk of complications during pregnancy. And I totally agree with that.
All right, good to know. All right, so we're taking your questions coming up very shortly. Thank you very much for answering the round of questions. Right now, though, we do want to take a focus on the appointment process for Novant Health. Now, Novant has a few options for scheduling appointments. If you're already a Novant Health patient and you are eligible to be vaccinated, you will get a notification through your MyChart account. That will let you sign up for your appointment when one is available. Then you'll make an appointment to get that shot, most likely at the Haynes Mall Max vaccination location that's there in Winston-Salem. If you're eligible but you are not a Novant patient, or if you don't have a MyChart account, what you'll want to do is you're going to want to sign up for that MyChart account at mynovant.org. Then you'll be able to sign up for that vaccine appointment at the mass vaccination site. If you are not yet eligible for a vaccine, meaning you're not a frontline healthcare worker or you're under the age of 65, you can go to getvaccinated.org and you can pre-register. Now this way, you'll find out your eligibility group and be notified when you can sign up for the vaccine appointment. When you are eligible, you will get a MyChart notification inviting you to make your vaccination appointment. So to recap quickly, Novant Health, you're going to want to make a Novant Health MyChart account. That is key. It is free for you to be able to do that, and you do not have to be a Novant patient to get a MyChart account. You can use that account to make your appointment or go to get vaccinated at vaccinated.org to pre-register to sign up for a vaccine when you are eligible. If you missed any of this information, and I know it's a whole lot, we have put it on our website for you so you can do it step by step, whether it is Novant, Wake Forest, or Cone, WFMYnews2.com. All right, we're taking the rest of the time right now to have them answer your questions, and you can text them to that number, 336-379-5775. Again, it is text only, do not call. All right, this person is asking, is there a booster to the vaccine to combat the variant that we're hearing about today?
Yeah, I'll take that. They're working on one, actually, especially to some of the variants that might have the potential to evade the antibody response. So maybe that will need to be boosted, kind of like we have to be for a lot of other adult vaccines. But more to come on that one.
So now the UK variant is found in Guilford County. Is it any more contagious or deadly, and could that change as time goes on? Dr. Parrott?
So I don't know that we have an answer for what will happen in the future. COVID is new to all of us still. It's been around for just a few months now, almost a year in this country, and we learn more and more every day. I think the key is no matter how infectious it is, if we continue to wash our hands, wear masks, and socially distance, will help to keep ourselves safe.
All right, and that is the way to keep it from spreading here, those 3 W's that you were talking about. Dr. Brooks, someone is asking, health experts say the vaccine is still likely to be effective against this variant, but how long before it changes? Do we know that either?
Yeah, there's a lot that we just don't know yet, and time will tell as we learn more.
Okay, so this is a Cone Health question. Dr. Brooks, will the people who were canceled this week at Cone be automatically rescheduled?
Yes, so they will receive an email or a phone call from someone within Cone Health who will reschedule those appointments for them.
Okay, Dr. Parrott, this person is asking, do I have an option of which vaccine I receive, Pfizer or Moderna?
So we will give the vaccine that we have at the site on that day. So there's not a choice, unfortunately. And like Dr. Ohl said, both vaccines are effective equally.
Okay. This person is asking about, of the vaccines given so far, do you know what the percentage of those are people of minorities? Dr. Ohl, I know you were talking about that you have several events even coming up focused on that.
Yeah, so, I think I can speak for Forsyth County, and for memory, it's about 10% so far have been minority patients. And that's just not good enough. We need to get those numbers up. So we're working on outreach. All the health systems are, and cooperating together in order to do this. And the first step is communication, answering people's questions, making them feel less anxious about it. And then the second thing is getting them access to getting vaccinated.
Okay, quickly, we have about less than a minute. Dr. Parrott, what are the most common side effects linked to the vaccine?
So, like we've said before, you can definitely have a sore arm. You might have a headache. You might even have a fever. The second vaccine can be a little worse than the first vaccine, but there are lots of people that feel just fine.
Mm-hmm. And I think you would all nod your head in unison when I say, do we all have to wear our masks after we get the vaccine? Yes, yes, we do. Yes. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you for joining us today. And thank you for bringing in your questions. If you missed anything, you want to share something that was mentioned today, we posted all of these segments and the appointment process information on our website. Look for WFMYnews2.com, joining together for COVID-19 vaccine education. Ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie, they forever go together.
Hi there, mic check 1 2 3 4 5 6.
Tim, then Tanya. Tanya, you're at the top of this show.
Hi, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana.
Oh, so I'm talking about these pictures. Hey, we had some snow today. Well, earlier today, this is what many in the Triad woke up to, a little blanket of snow. If you were lucky, you got that coating. Now it's getting cold. We'll have the idea of our next winter system next.
And experts from the Triad's top healthcare systems just came together for vaccine education, the top 3 things that you need to know.
A Triad nurse is coming out of retirement to help with COVID vaccinations.
Why she says she could stay away for long.
But first, our top story right now at 6 o'clock, the Guilford County Health Department confirms its first case of the more contagious COVID-19 variant.